Imagine this. Right now, the zombie invasion has started. Zombies are seen attacking people, biting people, infecting other people, and the zombie wave is coming. So what is the appropriate response? Welcome to the Midlife Guide to the Unlife Crisis, a semi-serious series in which we'll try to come up with some guides or tips on how to deal with the zombie apocalypse using real-life, practical tips and situations. We've all watched the zombie movies and played zombie games, but how realistic can our response be to the actual zombie apocalypse? So you take movies for example. In I Am Legend, Will Smith had a lot of time to prepare himself because the zombie apocalypse was kind of predicted. They kind of had time to evacuate the people, and Will Smith, as the scientist, was left behind to research and to prepare a vaccine or cure for the zombie virus. And we see in World War Z, where the zombies started attacking out of nowhere, and Brad Pitt, as the main character of the show, was just caught up in the middle of all of it at ground zero, where the zombie wave is starting and he's trying to figure out a way to get out and evacuate safely. And we've seen many other movies and films which, for dramatic and theatric purposes, they focus at ground zero because that's where all the drama is. Panicking comes in, people are screaming and zombies attacking and people running and fight the zombies or become zombies themselves. But unlike the movies, it is more likely that you and I would not be at ground zero for the zombie apocalypse and instead be somewhere either a distance away from the actual zombie outbreak, hearing the screams of the people panicking, running, or the snarl and growling of the zombies as they chase down people, or even further away in like neighboring cities or towns, a distance away where you find out about it on news and prepare to evacuate, or even further away in a different country where you receive news about how there's a zombie outbreak somewhere else, or even on Reddit or like YouTube. So in this video, we'll try to break down these different situations that you may find yourself in when the zombie outbreak actually hits, and what the most practical and most beneficial response you should have. And so before we start the video today, please leave a like, comment and subscribe to the video. It will be truly encouraging for me to see people follow my content, subscribe to the content or like the content, as it indicates to me as a new creator to come up with more videos of this, or even explore other concepts. If you have any, please feel free to put it down in the comments below. So in my view, there are three main principles that you should keep in mind when you are responding to the zombie apocalypse, whether you're stuck in ground zero or whether you're far away from the outbreak. Of course, the premise is that at this point in time, within the first 48 hours, 24 hours, nobody really knows what the zombie is doing. Nobody knows how the zombie virus works, how the infection happens, how the virus is transmitted, what the zombies do, where they are just really attacking people and killing them, whether they are undead or they are infected by a parasite, or how fast they run, or whether they can jump, or they can spit stomach acid. So nobody knows all these things, but these three principles apply regardless of all this. First, it is a no-brainer, but you have to maximize the distance between yourself and the zombies. And this applies whether you are at ground zero, running away, literally running away from the zombies, or if you're far away in a different country, preparing, making plans to evacuate or to move even further into a more secluded area that you can hold up or defend yourself against the zombies. Next, elevation. As Obi-Wan once put it, get the higher ground. Because at this point, nobody really knows anything about the zombies. Nobody knows what the zombies are going to do, whether they can jump, whether they can run, whether they can attack you. But getting the higher ground does give you some advantages in terms of getting a bird's eye view of what's happening around you, being able to spot zombies far away before they attack you, or even at ground zero where zombies are chasing you. Getting the high ground does help you to get away from zombies faster, especially if you're assuming that they are running in a more haphazard or animalistic way. Lastly, most importantly is, at the end of the first 24 hours, it is to preserve yourself. And this is not just about the first 24 hours where you're running away from the zombies or you are preparing for the zombie outbreak or the wave to hit you, but to ensure that you have sufficient supplies, sufficient food, sufficient water, and sufficient resources to survive and preserve your life for the next 24 hours and the next 24 hours and the next 24 hours. So in terms of where you are during the zombie outbreak, the best case scenario is that your first point of contact with the zombie virus is through the news, through the media, on the internet, where you are far away from the zombie apocalypse or the zombie attack and you're able to have enough time to prepare yourself to either evacuate or to find out more about the zombies, or to even prepare to have enough supplies for, surviving a long period of time. And in this situation, I think your highest priority is actually to find out more about the zombie as much as you can, because you are already given the advantage of time. You have more time before the zombie wave hits hits you, you also have more time to prepare yourself on how you evacuate. For example, knowing how the virus works, whether it's spread by biting, saliva, blood, or even by air or fungal infections, makes a difference in terms of your planning in evacuating or to protect yourself and your family. With this, the first principle is satisfied. You are far away from the zombies, there's a big distance between you and the zombies, and you have enough time to prepare yourself before the zombie wave hits you. For example, finding out how strong the zombies are or how fast they run will make a difference in your planning on how best to evacuate and how to hide away from the zombies. Also, knowing how the zombie virus is transmitted or how to protect yourself against zombies makes a difference, especially when you need to prepare to defend yourself against the zombies, or you need to identify whether there are certain people who may be infected by zombies already. And most importantly, if you are in this situation where you are given so much time to prepare, you have to take advantage of it to plan a proper evacuation route away from the likely source of the zombies or where the zombies may come from. Because honestly speaking, you have watched all the movies, you have played the games, you should know that the zombie virus may come even faster than expected. And so being prepared to evacuate earlier than expected is definitely going to help you survive a bit longer in the zombie apocalypse. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, since I have the time, why not I just, bunker down, I set up a proper defense perimeter, I build a proper shelter around my house and try to defend myself against the zombies. However, this only works if you have the necessary resources or are able to obtain the necessary resources and supplies to stay alive for a long period of time to hold out against the zombies. But most pertinently, if you do have enough planning time, why not take advantage of it to come up with a proper evacuation plan and move away from the zombies rather than being surrounded by zombies with no way out. Now, on the other extreme, the worst case scenario that you can find yourself in when the zombie outbreak hits is at ground zero itself. Because naturally, being in this situation is going to be extremely tense. People are going to be panicking. There's going to be a lot of screaming and people running into you or running away from you and running, past you. And you have very little time to figure out the best way out of this situation. And so it's best to fall back to the 3 principles that I mentioned. First, to maximize your distance from the zombies. And of course, it's a no-brainer to say that you gotta run in a straight line, but I think there's a bit of a leeway where you can run a bit left or a bit right, but just not beyond the 45-degree angle, kind of like a cone, or rather a cone of escape, where running anywhere beyond the 45th degree angle would basically mean that zombies who are running straight all along would catch you. Next, it is also important to run away from people and into space, because you don't want to be running into people, as you don't know these people are going to be zombies or are they really infected or still transforming, or if they're going to trip you or hold you back, because it's tiring already to just run by yourself. Now imagine having to fight other people who are running into you or pushing you, and at the same time ensuring that they are not zombies and trying to push them away as well. On the second principle, elevation isn't really that big of a priority, because while elevation does help to get away from zombies a certain way and give you kind of a bird's eye view, I think the situation is a bit too rushed and too panicking for you to have such a luxury to assess the situation around you before making your next move. And more likely than not, you may end up running into a dead end. For example, going up into a building to try to seek elevation but end up being surrounded by zombies all around you outside of the building. So probably, unless you are confident of the path that you're taking, for example, that this flight of stairs leads to a hill that allows you to access like some kind of an underpass or tunnel behind that you can get into safety, I would advise against going for the elevation route and just sticking to maximizing the distance between you and the zombies. And of course, in this situation, preservation as a principle is very low as a priority, because stopping to get food or drink is basically a death sentence. You may end up being surrounded by zombies with no way out, or your way out may actually be blocked by people running in to seek shelter or to find food for themselves as well. Most importantly, how are you going to carry the food and drink around if you're trying to run away from zombies? The food and drink will basically weigh you down and hold you back, unless of course you're thinking of using this to slow the zombies down, like throwing on the floor. But then again, that seems to be a waste of time, spending additional time to stop zombies when you could just make better use of time by just running away from the zombies itself. And of course, unlike the other situation where you are far away from ground zero, I don't think there's enough time for you to do any research on the zombies or to observe the zombies and see, like Brad Pitt was in World War Z, how long they take to transform, how the infection works, and what happens after they have become a zombie. And between these two extreme scenarios, there is a middle ground where you are not really very far away from the zombies, like you are within the same country, maybe a neighboring town or neighboring city, or you are in the outskirts of the city and the outbreak took place in the center of the city, where you may be hearing some distant screams or police sirens or fire engine sirens, or even hearing about it on the news like social media, telling you to get away, telling you to evacuate immediately. And in this situation, I think you have to make the decision for yourself, because you have a distance away from the zombies, which grants you a certain period of time to prepare yourself, to stock up, to gather supplies, and maybe load up a small vehicle, or maybe pack a small backpack to prepare some necessities before you go on your way in evacuation. I do feel like ultimately this is an assessment that you have to make on the ground, depending on how far you are away from the zombies, what are the advantages that you have, what are the time that you have, and where you are. Now, between these two extremes, there's actually another form of middle ground, where actually you may be caught in the zombie outbreak, but the zombie outbreak may go past you because of certain situations, which I would like to call being late to the party. Like, for example, you may be in some sort of phone booth or meeting room, or your house may be quiet enough that the zombies don't actually attack you during the zombie outbreak, or somehow you are kind of secluded away from the zombies and the zombie wave has passed by you and you weren't really aware of it until everything has happened within like 1 to 2 hours away. The first thing you got to do is to bunker down, because unfortunately you are unable to maximize any more distance between you and the zombies. And second, it has been proven already by the fact that the zombies have bypassed you without hurting you or being alerted to your presence, that where you are as a room or location or your house or the rooftop or whatever is relatively safe and may qualify for a mini safe house. And so if you find yourself in such a situation where the zombie outbreak has already taken place and for some miraculous reason has passed you without you knowing or being aware, the first thing you should do is to secure your location by locking or blocking all the entrance points and access points as best as you can. You should also be checking for any hidden spots or hidden access points that you may not notice or realize until you actually dig around and look around. Then, because of where you are and the situation that you're in, it'll be good if you are able to figure out what's happening around you, how many zombies there are around you, and figure out whether you are in a hotspot with many zombies. This is also a good chance for you to observe the zombies, to figure out how they move, how you can run away from them, or how they attack people. Of course, unfortunately, if you are stuck in this sort of situation with no food available and no drink available, it is very difficult for you to get yourself out of this situation to ensure your preservation as well. And so it's better instead to see for yourself what's happening around you, to observe the zombies, to check your situation, where you can go, and plot the best route of escape. Because being late to the party does not mean that you are immediately in danger. After all, if you see the zombie outbreak as a wave of zombies running outwards from ground zero to try to infect more and more people, and then these new zombies continue running the same wave to chase more and more people, it actually is a circular wave that moves outwards constantly. This also means that within the circle itself, there may be actually fewer or no zombies at all, since all the zombies are constantly running away outwards to hunt for new prey or to continue chasing the people that they can. But of course, we don't really know the actual dynamics or how things may actually work out, because for example, some people may be running in weird directions or running into the zombies, or the zombie wave may not be as clean a circle as we think. But logically speaking, there should be lesser zombies inside, especially if the zombie wave has passed you. And so there you have it. We try to keep this video short to focus only on the things that you should do to respond to the zombie apocalypse and the zombie virus. Always remember distance, elevation, preservation. And if you enjoyed this content and you would like to see more, please leave a like, comment and subscribe to the video, and especially comment below on what you think about my response to the zombie apocalypse, be it from ground zero or from far away in a different country, or any questions that you may have about responding to the zombie apocalypse, or if you think I've missed out anything, please leave a comment down below. It's of great help to me if I can hear from you guys.